They left my name off the invitation, but not off the menu. The place card just said, reserved, a cream-colored placeholder tucked between silver forks and a wedding rehearsal dinner menu embossed in gold. No Daniel. No Hayes. Not even a lazy guest. Just silence printed neatly on thick cardstock. Funny thing, silence. It can sound like erasure. Or power. Depending on who breaks it first. My name is Daniel Hayes. 52. Former Superior Court Judge for the Ninth Circuit in North Carolina. A man once told I brought disgrace to the family when I testified against a beloved family friend, a man who had harmed more than just reputations. My sister Emily never forgave me. My mother, Linda, said, "We don't air our shame in courtrooms," and shut the door. That door stayed closed for 10 years. Until now. The wedding invitation came in the mail addressed only to Miss Emily Hayes and Fiancé. A footnote about dinner at a vineyard outside Asheville. No address label in her handwriting. No return card. Just a note slipped inside the envelope, "Please don't ruin her day. Just stay away. Mom." But something about the envelope wouldn't let me throw it out. Maybe it was the weight of omission. Maybe it was the scent of hotel cologne. Or maybe it was that old brass judicial pin, still buried beneath paperweights on my desk, that whispered, "You were there." Even if they pretended you weren't. I hadn't worn the pin in years. Not since the tribunal. Not since I stood in front of a panel of peers and answered questions no judge should have to answer about a decision that split my family in two. It was an eviction case that involved more than just property. It unearthed decades of backroom deals, whispered favors, and small-town corruption. And one of the names that came up belonged to a man who had coached my little league team. My father called it a betrayal. My sister called it a performance. My mother? She just called it shame. But Judge Brandon Carter called it courage. He wasn't family. But he treated me like a son. And after that case, he sent me a letter I never threw away. On thick paper, written in his precise, slanted hand. Silence isn't always peace, Daniel. Some legacies are born in the quiet. So I opened the invitation. Not with hope. With clarity. I wasn't crashing their wedding. I was answering history. The vineyard glowed under strings of curated light, like a set designer had arranged the stars to match the napkins. Every table shimmered with money, ceremony, and selective memory. I arrived just before the toast. No one greeted me. No one noticed. Until someone did. Matthew Green. The fiancé. He stood near the head of the table in a tailored navy suit, glass in hand. "Some of you have been part of our journey from day one," he began, eyes scanning the crowd, then settling on me. "Others, I'm just beginning to know." A pause. A silence sharpened by candlelight. When I was in law school, there was a case I couldn't forget. Tenant rights. It was poetic. Human. The author saw people, not statutes. The name on the ruling? Judge D. Hayes. He looked directly at me. "You wouldn't happen to be him, would you?" Every fork froze. Emily stiffened. Her spine straightened like cold steel. Then, in a voice loud enough to rattle crystal. "He's nothing. He's nobody." Her words cut cleaner than any gavel. But I didn't flinch. I raised my glass, locked eyes with Matthew, and said, "You have good taste in legal scholarship." Whispers rolled like thunder through the vineyard. Emily's hand trembled. She dropped her glass. Champagne bled across the white tablecloth, reaching the roses like truth finally staining a curated narrative. She stood, knocked her chair back, and stormed out. I didn't follow. Because for once, I wasn't the one leaving. The hush lingered like steam after a storm. A few heads turned toward me, then away, unsure which script to follow. My cousin Sarah gave me a sad half-smile across the table, like a candle burning in a broken lantern. Linda, our mother, didn't say a word. She sat, poised and silent, pearl earrings glinting in the candlelight, pretending her youngest daughter hadn't just broken the fourth wall. Matthew, however, remained calm. He sat back down, gently resting his glass on the linen, and nodded to the string quartet, who awkwardly resumed a tune no one could hear over the static of memory. I took a slow breath. The air smelled of oak barrels and tension. Later that night, as the guests dispersed, I walked out alone beneath a canopy of twinkling lights. The gravel crunched under my shoes like an old verdict. From the shadows by the parking lot, I heard soft footsteps. It was Linda. "You shouldn't have come," she said. Her voice was quiet, but sharp enough to chisel glass. I turned. Her eyes were narrowed, cold. "I was invited," I replied. She folded her arms. "That wasn't an invitation. That was pity." "No, Mother," I said, slowly. "It was fear. Fear that I might remind them all what integrity looks like." A beat passed. She didn't answer. "You erased me." "You all did," I continued. "But I didn't disappear." She opened her mouth, closed it again, then stepped back and walked away. It was the last time she looked me in the eye. The morning of the wedding arrived wrapped in fog, the vineyard hushed beneath a slate-colored sky. It felt like the world was holding its breath. I stood at the edge of the courtyard, not among the guests but apart, beneath a tall maple tree shedding red leaves like little verdicts on the stone path. My suit was pressed. My shoes polished. The brass pin on my lapel caught the pale morning light. No one approached me. The ceremony began with the usual choreography. Cellos. White chairs. Florals. Whispers. People glanced at me the way they might at an old painting, familiar, heavy, and easier to ignore. Emily entered the garden arm in arm with Linda. She was radiant, angry, yes, but radiant. Her smile for the guests was porcelain perfect. Her gaze never met mine. Until the vows. Matthew stood before her, voice steady. "I promised myself I'd marry someone who didn't just dream out loud but lived out loud." "You taught me that, Emily. But there's something else I learned. From someone who showed up when silence would have been easier. Judge Hayes, your brother, taught me the difference between obeying the rules and honoring justice." A stir moved through the crowd. I felt dozens of eyes turn. Emily's eyes welled, then narrowed. But she said nothing. Matthew reached into his pocket and held up a folded letter. "This is a ruling," he wrote, "taped on the wall of my dorm room for 3 years. I didn't know who he was to you until last night. Now I do. And I want to thank him." He turned and faced me. "Judge Hayes, thank you." A silence bloomed that no musician could fill. I nodded. Nothing more. After the ceremony, I stayed in my place beneath the maple. The newlyweds took photos, the guests sipped wine, and time continued its quiet march. Then I saw her. Emily. She walked toward me slowly, heels crunching over gravel, the folds of her dress whispering with each step. When she stopped a few feet away, she didn't speak right away. "I hated you," she said finally, voice low. "For years. Not because you were wrong. Because you weren't. I waited. You embarrassed us. You tore the family apart. You wouldn't play along. You wanted a brother who followed the script," I said. She nodded. "And you were the editor." From her clutch, she pulled out a photo. "I found this last night," she said. "Dad's 60th. You remember?" I nodded. "We had this hanging in the hallway for years, cropped, of course. I found the original in a drawer. Thought you might want it." She held it out. In the photo, I stood in the back row, hands behind my back, smiling faintly. Not posed. Just present. I took it gently. No apology. I asked. She shook her head. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I see you now. That's something. That's enough, I said. That night, back in Raleigh, I placed the photo beside my judicial pin. I wore the pin the next day while delivering a keynote at a justice reform summit. The applause echoed long after I left the stage. As I stepped down, a young woman approached, eyes bright with purpose. "Judge Hayes," she said, "your ruling helped my client keep her home. It helped me stay in law school." I reached into my jacket, unpinned the brass badge, and placed it in her hand. "Wear it when you need a reminder," I told her. "You were there. Even if they try to crop you out. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's presence. And that's enough." If you've ever had to choose peace over family, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of truth, power, and second chances.